14 million. But the reconciliation comes from it being over.
I'm excited to welcome you back, Ricky Kidd, to the Alex Perry on Fire podcast.
I used to have nightmares, terrible nightmares. No more nightmares. That's the peace that gives me peace. That's the peace that gives me resolve.
Welcome to the Alex Perry on Fire podcast. And we have a return guest today, Ricky Kidd. And you can go back and listen to his previous episode that was just a story that you could be a movie. It was a movie, Shawshank Redemption of sorts, but really it's his story. Wrongly convicted of a double homicide, spent 23 years in jail, got out on his 12th appeal in, it was 2019. And from a year ago plus, lots happened in your life. So we talked about freedom and resilience and what it feels like, top down, wind at your back. But life happens. And things happen and things change. And we're on this course. And this is what the Alex Perry on Fire podcast is about. It's about resilience, but it's also about things coming up and how you deal with them. And I'm excited to welcome you back, Ricky Kidd, to the Alex Perry on Fire podcast.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you. Appreciate being back. Appreciate you having me. Love what you're doing.
For the audience that hasn't listened to the first episode, can you maybe do a quick rundown of the story on how basically you were imprisoned and kind of the events that took place, to get where you were and now where you're at right now?
Sure. 1996, a double homicide had taken place in the south side of Kansas City. Terrible thing that happens in our communities all across the country. Of course, the police department and community wants to see the case solved. Sometimes a rush to judgment or messiness is what I would call it, can take place. My name had came up in the process of that investigation. It should have came up and been cleared instantly, but it wasn't. I think that pressure to solve the case and quell the community's outrage motivated the Kansas City Police Department to pursue the case. Probably not their best work, but a couple men were killed. A list of suspects that came up. I was on that suspects list. I didn't get cleared. I didn't get cleared when I should have, when the evidence would have cleared me. I sat in the county for 11 months, went to trial with a public defender who I thought it would have been a cakewalk, at least at that time, to prove an innocent man's case. I thought guilty men or women or individuals needed an attorney to kind of help them wiggle out of it. I thought an innocent man would get the benefit of the doubt, and I certainly didn't think that the lack of evidence would measure up to a conviction. But long story short, 11 months later, I went to trial, sat next to the public defender, didn't do a really good job in being able to expose a lot of the things that eventually came out, and I was convicted. I was convicted at the age of 21, sentenced to 4 lives, 2 lives without the possibility of parole and 2 regular life sentences. But I was never going to get past the 2 lives without the possibility of parole. And I lost all my 20s. I lost all my 30s. I lost half of my 40s before I was eventually exonerated August 15th, 2019. I came back to freedom.
And again, because we talked about freedom, what does the word freedom mean to you?
Yeah, freedom. Freedom is the ability. My definition. I'm a work with Webster on this. Freedom is the ability to embrace life fully. Freedom is the ability to embrace life fully, and I don't just say that. That's not a fluff word or a fluff phrase. It has meaning that's tied into it. It started with, although I was wrongfully convicted for 23 years, physically, I was held captive. I was tied and bound, if you would, physically. but spiritually and mentally, I developed a pathway towards freedom there. And so I was productive there. I worked on my growth and development there. I became an avid reader. And so I developed an education by this byway instead of a main highway of a college or a university of sort. And so again, freedom is the ability to embrace life fully, no matter where you at and no matter what's going on. Same thing when I came home. Everybody was so excited, so excited. I was all in the news, local, nationals. Everybody was so excited to see me free. I mean, I'm strangers, like genuinely excited. And for my mother to miss me, for my daughter to miss me, but strangers, in high volumes was so excited to see me being free and walking in my freedom. So I began to ponder, why is everybody so excited? And again, a part of that is because, as a good friend would remind me, that they're not walking in their freedom. They're physically free, but they're mentally tied down to something. They emotionally tied down to something. They have a financial anchor tied around their ankle of some sort. And so freedom, man, freedom. I have a big sign that my wife got me that's over our fireplace. It's a light up, you turn it on, it's beautiful, beautiful sign. It says freedom. So every day throughout my house, as I walk, roam to and fro the kitchen for coffee, wherever I'm going, you're constantly going to see that sign as you pass that area, just to remember that freedom is the thing, and it should be embraced fully.
Yeah, and you come out of prison, you get this initial wave of freedom. And we kind of talked about this on the show before, but even going more to detail. But things start happening, right? And so do you find that as you enter into society, now you have this physical freedom, but what are the things going at the mental freedom as you try and kind of get back into society and figure out your place in society?
Yeah. Good, really good question. The danger for me was, for which I didn't see at the time, for which I'm just now fully discovering in real time right now, is that a lot of things was the discovery process for me. Because when you're gone 23, you learn what you like in your 20s or your 30s, or what you're really committed to. Like, all those years are gone. So all those years, I was not able to develop that. So I went along with what I thought I wanted to do. And a bigger part of that is I went along with what other people wanted me to do. And there was no distinction between that. And I warn people, you don't have to go to prison. You don't have to be wrongfully convicted to find yourself in that space. I just did a powerful talk a few weeks ago. And the question I proposed to the audience was, who has their hands on your steering wheel? Your steering wheel, but somebody else is doing the driving. And I realized that one of my struggles, even 5 years, 6 years later, was, wait a minute, how free am I? Because is this really what I want to do internally, like in a real way? Or is this what somebody else wants me to do or think I should be doing? And since I didn't have those years to develop that, for my roots to become anchored in what I really wanted to do, what my true desires were, I struggled, and I'm just now in transparency. That's why I talk about it openly. I'm just now realizing, like, what portion of that is true to what I wanted to do, or at least want to do now, and what part of that should I've been developing true ideas about who Ricky Kidd is and where he's going and what my purpose truly look like.
What would you say the struggles were? Like, what was that struggle?
influence. We tell youth, don't be so easily influenced. Peer pressure. We think peer pressure is, who do we think peer pressure is for? Who do we think peer pressure is for? Is it your youth or adults? So influence. And one of the struggles was peer pressure. Again.
Well, what was that feeling? Was it depression? Is it sadness? Is it loneliness? Is it back to kind of some of the feelings you might have had even in prison?
It became that. You're spot on, my friend. In the moment, I did not notice it at all. But it became sadness. It became depression. And so, yeah, I am diagnosed with a case of mild depression.
Because, I mean, we talk about it on the show, right? There's things in this life that take you to the moon. Freedom, take you to the moon.
Yep.
Winning an Olympic medal, take you to the moon.
Yep.
Achieving high in business,
Yep.
take the moon. Relationships. And, we talk about climbing the mountain, but you're not always on the top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like what you're talking about, which a lot of guests and myself have talked about on the show, is an identity crisis. It's, you come out of prison and you're like, you're Ricky Kidd. You're the guy who spent 23 years wrongfully. This is you. This is you. This is you. And you're like, this is me. This is me. And then all of a sudden you're like, what is this? And you just said, who is Ricky Kidd? So
Ricky Kidd. When
you sit in this chair right now, who is Ricky Kidd?
Yeah. Before I answer the question, I could play back so many social media clips that I've done, things that I went viral over, and it was always, hey folks, exonerate Ricky Kidd here. And now I say, hey folks, father Ricky Kidd here. Husband Ricky Kidd here. Humanity lover Ricky Kidd here. I'm still processing who Ricky Kidd is here. The exhausted list is not even in yet. Because I'm just now raising the curtains again. Picture going to the hotel with some blackout curtains. And the lights would come on, right? Media places and my appearances and the stage, and it was authentic to me. My presentations, my message is always authentic. But the other side of that, a coin is heads and tails. One side is heads, but the other side is tail. And so I would come home to the other side of that up that you talked about. And the black shades, metaphorically, the blackout shades would come down, and I would put my phone on charger, not to necessarily be charged, but I didn't want to pick it up. I didn't want to see who was on the other end.
I feel you a bit. We talked before we got on air, just sharing I said, where have you been?
Yeah.
And I told you the truth,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't talking about, oh, everything's great and good. It's like, no, we when we struggle to find this identity, I can feel it in you, because it's a struggle. Like when you emotionally talk about being a father, being a husband, trying to figure out, the emotion comes from how hard it is to get there, to find it, to be honest with yourself. This is what I've found through myself. So I want to talk for you, myself, is that to tell yourself you're not the person that everyone thinks you are. And then to go and say, okay, who am I?
Who am I?
It rips you. I mean, not a lot of people can compare it to 23 years in prison, but it's so different. It just rips you as a human being, because you think you have a purpose. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And then what you're talking about, because again, I've been there. all of a sudden the phone call, you're not looking for that phone call. Before you got out, you're like, who's this?
Yeah.
Who's this? Who's this? What's the next opportunity? What's the next opportunity?
Where do I need
We're
to
making
meet
money.
you?
Who am I talking to now? And it's this adrenaline and these endorphin hits, and you haven't felt them, and this will never end. And then all of a sudden it does end, and then you're picking up the pieces, and at the same time everyone's saying, well, you're free.
Yeah.
You're free. You should. Oh, you got to be the happiest guy in the world.
Yeah.
You're free.
Yeah.
You have family, and so it's that work. So what was, while you're still in this phase, because you told me,
Yeah,
what was the first thing or the things you're trying to do to kind of, I would say, like, missing pieces to the puzzle or figure this out? And I think we're always trying to figure it out.
yes, yeah. A part of that answer is slow down, the reset. What comes to mind is my wife and I were driving from dinner, and a deer darted out and tapped the car. The car needed to go in for repair. I could not drive the car and have it repaired at the same time, right? It has to go into the shop, right? It has to get off the road. And I use that analogy because a lot of time I think people are trying to work through a thing, to have some type of self-repair, or even an examination of yourself, an examination of the car. You have to bring it in. Sometimes you have to leave it for a while. So I'm at the stage where I'm taking the time to re-examine that. I'm being more methodical, more slow. It's not easy. That is a part of that solution. And in that space, that diagnostic space, right? My wife and I tend to watch, we like a Resident MD and the new streaming doc, and they assess and they reassess, right? The ideal is that I'm looking at this, but is this really this? Let's wait till the labs come back in the streaming episodes. But in a metaphor, it's the same thing. It's like, where am I? Is that really the diagnosis? Let me run and confirm. So it's really just taking the time to answer the question, who is Ricky Kidd? And then sit with it, right? Don't run off real quick. I'm so busy that I think we got to get unbusy. I think people have to find a way. And my heart goes out, man. Man, my heart goes out. Almost to tears. We are too busy. We are so much capacity. So you don't have the full capacity to be able to do that full examination, right? The ideal is this, sir. The doctor says you need surgery. This individual, let's say me. And the surgery it has small requirements. You have to stop eating and drinking 24 hours or at midnight, that little piece, and then don't take your certain medications at certain times. And then the procedure lasts 2 or 3 hours. And then you say, okay, I can do all of that. But wait, what is the recovery? 7 weeks. 7 weeks is the recovery. And then you tell, I don't have 7 weeks. So you put it off. You say, no, doc, we're not going to do it right now at this time. I don't have the 7 weeks, or whatever you may tell them. We don't have the capacity to really get inside ourselves, to really sit down and do the hard reset. So that is the key piece. Like, there's other pieces to it. I use on my tablet, there's a feature that allows me to draw on it, and I create these categories where I'm looking at, okay, all aspects of my life, like not my financial aspect of my life, my mental aspect of my life, the health part, my physical health. Brother, when I say depression, And as I'm being transparent, I got up to 281 pounds. I'm just sitting around. I'm not really caring. I'm down to 254 now, and I still got about 30 more to go before I hit my goal. But I'm talking about in a real way, real answers, right? We're not just talking academic, and we surely aren't talking in metaphors. I'm talking about real depression in a real way, 281 pounds after I left you.
And what were you when I saw you, 14 months ago or 16 months ago?
I would have been 266, I believe, if my memory pulls it up. I know I got about 20 pounds overweight after I left you.
But the realness you're talking about, which I appreciate so much, is that this is everything this show's about.
Right.
It's like when someone sees you and they ask a question, "Hey, Ricky, how you doing?" "I'm great." You put on this face, I got it, I'm free. And the realness is that's not true. That's not true. And it makes me emotional saying it because no, I'm working through some hard shit. Depression, no joke. Putting on weight from a health standpoint, no joke. Other things that please share with me that I know go with identity crisis and I picture this. I saw an image of, a person chained down, like chains down.
Sure,
and it's like,
sure.
I've said this in my life. I want freedom. What does freedom mean? And freedom means I'm free to go do whatever I want.
Sure.
I'm not chained. And then you get this freedom. And you're like, it's, even though it's fearful, what now? Well, I can do everything. It's almost like now I don't know where to go because I can go anywhere.
Uh-huh.
And it can bring fear, right? Fear into your life.
Yeah.
Unknown, right? At least when you were chained, you knew where,
Of course.
metaphorically chained, you knew where you could and couldn't go.
Boundaries.
Yeah. And it's interesting that it's almost part of that path and that you're walking it.
Yeah. I'm constantly reminded of this. And I want to share with your audience. Hardcore mantra of mine. It's not where you are, Ricky. It's where you're going. And I just want to tell anybody who's listening right now, it's not where you are. It's where you're going. Why is that important? Because where we find ourselves in these dark places, we have to be able to pull ourselves up out of there. So when you are at 281, when the shades are down, how do you get the shades back up? How do you get the weight back down? How do you find that middle space, right? What is the mindset trigger? That's what we teach now. That's what Resilience Mode does. That company that my wife and I run, it's mindset training. And it's real, right? So we don't teach it in a way where we say, we are here and we're always here. We teach it in the most authentic way to say we are here and sometimes we're not, we're here. And then we use these same tools to get back here, right? It's that roller coaster that you talked about as we began to have that discussion. There's this other notion, and I want people to know who's listening. There is a summit, right? There's a place where you can climb and you can get to, but you don't stay there. There is this thing that the rock, your life is not as stable as that rock that you just climbed. And so you get to the top of the rock and you raise your hands and you say, I've made it. And everybody's looking at you. That was me, free. 6 years ago, I made it. You don't stay there. I've just was listed in Forbes. I just was the best tennis player. But you don't stay there. But I don't think people fully tap into that or really realize that it's not a permanent place. It is life is absolutely more like a roller coaster. It has different ebbs and flows and most certainly ups and downs. And so when you're up, have you been on a roller coaster lately by any chance? Right? I have, right? We went to SeaWorld a few months back, with my whole family, and we was at the top, and it was, And we was up, and then we was down, and then we was sideways. That's life. So what happens when you up? Put your hands up and say, hey. But what happens when you're down? Who's answering that question? And you really have to tell yourself, it's not where I am, Vicky, Sarah, Michael, Diane, whoever's listening, and whatever your name is, it's where you are going. And you have to, well, then the question becomes, well, where am I going? And that's a question for you to think about, to figure out, and then that's what you strive towards. That's what I'm doing right now as I'm sitting in this chair with you right now.
Yeah, you take your own advice over and over again.
Yeah.
Victor or not victim. It's
That's
simple. Right. I mean, it really is that simple. When you're seeing clearly, it's that simple. When you're not, when the shades are down, the blackout shades are down, it's, it's dark. It's not as light. It's not as easy to see. Victor, not victim is simple. I tell myself this, I tell other people this, told my brother this, myself over and over. It's the little things. So when you're talking about being on the top of the mountain, life's great, celebrate it, love it.
Right.
Kind of in the middle, maybe a little bit where you are right now, sit, understand, see where you can climb.
That's right.
When you're down here, it's the little things, and they're the hardest things. But what I do and what I talk to myself or my brother or other people, take ice baths, break the mental, breathe.
I like
Go
it.
for a lot of walks, a lot of walks.
A lot of walks here too.
A lot of walks. Listen to podcasts. Listen to my own podcasts.
That's right.
Because they're mirrors.
Absolutely.
Voice memos to myself or to other people. Journaling. Some of this stuff's so hard to do when you don't feel good. But it's the little thing, the workouts, like you said, the taking care of your health.
Yep.
Little things, such little things. And then I guess, again, speaking to you and almost kind of, projecting, but it's reminding yourself not to be the victim, because what you could say is, well, I've gone through this. I've done this. I shouldn't need to do this anymore. I see it with myself, my friends, my brother, is that I've done the work. Why do I have to go back and do this? This is bullshit. I'm above this. I'm above this.
Yeah.
I've done enough in my life that I shouldn't have to sit in this. But the world doesn't care.
Yeah.
Right? Like the universe doesn't always say it. So now I go to belief, which obviously it had to be something so strong for you. 20 years in prison, 12, on your 12th appeal to get out. Do you lean on that belief? What does that belief mean to you?
I do. I had to, and I have to. I do. I had to. Then, and I still have to. That belief has multiple aspects to it. One is I'm a man of faith, right? That's if it was Google, if that question was entered in Google, faith would probably pop up when you talk about belief. A lot of people have some type of belief anchored in some type of faith. Religious component attached to it. However, that's not my centerpiece. If I'm being transparent, if I want to please my pastor or my grandpa or my father-in-law, I may say, and that's the corner of that's the center of it's not. It has been an important part. But the belief in the faith is me. I'm the center of that piece. Just being honest, sir. I was the center. It was anchored in the belief that I had the ability to overcome my difficulty and challenge. I believe that all of humanity has the ability to overcome their difficulty and challenge, and we have to do some excavating. The word excavate, it's heavy. It's a heavy word. It's not a shovel. It's not a gardener tool. It's a big tool that you may be on the highway driving past some of those big trucks, and they're moving those heavy earth moving machines. Sometimes we need a heavy earth moving machine for ourselves to dig deep and to excavate within the depths of ourselves to find out how and where do we get the energy and resources from within to overcome. I think we search all our life sometimes because we're searching outside of ourselves. We do it in gold and jewelry and clothes, and we think that is where the answer is. We do it in friends, we do it in cars and homes and all these external things. Even when we go to the church home, that's an external thing, and we fellowship with others and we hear, that's all external, but internal, within yourself, your body, our humanity, our whole anatomy is made up of such to where I get a cut on my finger and the body has the ability to heal it on its own. Scab over and everything, and voila, there it's no longer there. We have some internal abilities that I don't think we tap into much. And that's where my faith, that's the core of my faith, sir. That it was then and it is now. And I think that is, and it's within our control. When we find our faith, to me, and other things, and our hope and other things, it's less within our control, right? But when you find a way to be able to look within yourself and know that the answer, sir, whatever you're going through right now, Alex, whatever I'm going through, whatever your listening audience is going through, I feel very confident saying that the piece or the big piece of their answer is going to be found within themselves and their ability. If you're waiting for somebody to come and pull you up out of it, if you think that therapy or counseling alone, which I'm in, is going to pull you up out of it, I don't subscribe to that idea. I think we have it within ourselves. We just got to go deep enough.
Well, and as you said earlier, it's slowing down, right? I think if you can slow things down, you can see at least where things go. It might take time to put them in the right place, but and for someone like you, for someone like me, a lot of our guests, it's just hard to slow down. Or even when it feels like you're going, you have slowed down, it's not slow enough. You're like, well, no, you're still going really fast. It's just you were going crazy fast. Yeah. And so putting yourself in these places to slow down, see what's important, and reconnect. I mean, I think that's what you're saying, is just connecting, whether it's with yourself or your family or your friends. Things go so fast sometimes that we lose this connection. And then we feel lost because we've lost it. And it's this taking the time to connect back to what was giving us all this energy anyways.
That's right.
And what you said, it's having the honest conversation, right? So
which if I could say real quick before we get too far from that very, very important point. Hey, Alex, how are you doing? Oh, I'm great. So one of the things that I started doing was being honest. Hey, Ricky, how are you doing? Not too good today, man. Not too good. I'm being honest now. And as I'm sharing the new narrative, people all around me will tell you that I run from that response. Why is it important to run from that response? Because when words come out of your mouth and into others' ears, it goes right back into your ears as well. So you've been telling yourself, I'm okay. I meant to just tell Alex I'm okay because that's the courtesy thing to do, or that's what how are you, Ricky? Oh, I'm good. How are you, Ricky? Oh, I'm great. You keep telling yourself, and how many times a day, depending on what we're doing, are people asking us that question? And so how many times a day are you telling yourself that you're great? No wonder you wake up the next day thinking you're great or not doing what you might need to be doing, realizing that you're not as great as you told people that you are. How do I get off that hamster's wheel? How do I get off that type of roller coaster? By really being honest.
Yeah, and it's like, if you are great, share it, feel the energy. And if not, I like to say, working on things. A lot of times I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm working on things because that's the truth. Sometimes I feel great. Sometimes I feel over the moon.
That's right.
Sometimes I don't even have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And and I said it, slowing down. I also think realizing what's serious and what's not serious, right? What's really too much and you're holding on too tight. And, again, I like to think of the metaphor of, and someone, I listened to this, It was Mel Robbins, actually. I was listening to the Let Them podcast, but it was like, if you're paddling upstream in a boat, that's going to be exhausting and it's going to be tough. And if
Right.
you drop the oars, see where it takes you.
Yeah.
Faith
Yeah.
in yourself,
Yes.
in your religion, in
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
See where it takes you. Slow down.
Yeah.
Unless the rapid is 1 inch from you and you're going over tomorrow, you'll see where it takes you.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
And in that case, you probably don't want to let the oars down.
Of
Right.
course.
Some discernment. But
That's good. I like it. I like that.
yeah, and it's the honesty is liberating. It's true, and I think the knowing that you'll get back there, the belief that you'll get back there. And when you get back there, you may have a different point of view too, right? Like there's a lot of learning in it, and I know when someone's not feeling good, they're like, I'm done learning. I've learned enough lessons. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, tired of hearing that too. But I think it's this idea that when you do, because you do come out of it, and again, if you listen to enough podcasts or people or teachers, there are ways out. There are techniques. There are mental exercises. All these things to help.
Hey, yes. I think people should think about different versions of themselves and then the techniques to get there, right? The recipe to that is super important. And I love the way you ask your guests those questions. I love the way you think about that, even when we have our own conversations about it's not just a thing or an idea, but how to get to that. I want to say this. I would really encourage I think about where I was, where I am, and where I'm going. And I also think alongside that, the iPhone 6, the iPhone 13, the Android, right? The Samsung, it's 2.0, it's 5.0, it's better, right? The idea that I sat down with you X amount of time ago and we had a conversation, now I sit down with you today, it's just a better version, right? It's the idea that we can subscribe to, right? A better version of ourselves. I don't have, and it's not that the reason why I bring up the phones, because the first iPhone was great. It was groundbreaking. It was revolutionary. And when the iPhone 10 came out, it had the specs on the phone, and the camera was able to do this, and it had one to the back. It was all good. I'm not saying that. So all versions of ourselves are good, right? There's good aspects of every version of ourselves. But they didn't say, yeah, we're going to stop right here at the iPhone 10. They kept going until, I'm talking about life, not just iPhone. I'm talking about the things that anything. Somebody's in their home right now. You can look left, you can look right, and you're going to see some type of gadget or something in your space for which it is a 2.0. It is a 5.0. You're going to get on your computer and you're going to get on MailChimp. You're going to get on some type of software or work for some type of system, CRM you're going to use. It is a much better version. Not that the version you was using 3 years ago was a bad version. So subscribe to that. I need the listener audience to know that there is, first of all, there is a better version of me, right? Now, how do I get to it?
Yeah, well, and I think what you have to be careful with that is the ego, right? So the ego doesn't necessarily allow you to say, let's work on this version.
Yeah.
It ain't coming out tomorrow.
Right.
Right. iPhone 6 and iPhone 13 probably took a couple years.
Spot on.
And so the ego says, well, I should be here. Like when you came out of prison, the ego might have said, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be invited to the party. And then it's like, well, now that I'm at the party, who am I at the party?
Yeah.
And there's just this, and if I go to the next party, have I elevated? Have I elevated? And I just think that's part of it, right? And it's when you're going through the changes, the software changes, because you talked about the phone, there are glitches and there's things you're working on. And it's compassion for yourself at that time, right? Because the Ricky kid that's sitting in this chair right now was not the Ricky kid of 18 months ago. It's the same person, but it's someone who's actually thinking in their head, who am I a little bit more, right?
Sir Alex Perry on fire. Everything that we do, my family, my household, like the people around me, starting with myself, it has to be real. It has to be real. I start with the foundation of it being real. And what you're saying is absolutely spot on. Let me give an example. Oh, that's nice what they're sitting down talking about. Brother, I have about 6 to 10 things that it's really, really, really good things. Really, really good things. And the button needs to be pushed on them. Couple things. The list is it's documentary. It's all I have to do is push a button. But it's going to produce, it's one idea, but it has 150 tasks in it, right? It requires 60% of my capacity. I already understand that, right? So all these things, I'm just trying to help, talk and help, right? And a real example, the year ago version of Ricky would have pushed all of those buttons. So I'm saying, yeah, Alex, slow down. I want to tell people to, just telling people that. But are you what is the application? What does that look like? What is the sacrifice, right? What is the checking your ego? What you just said, because I want to push all of these buttons right now. I cannot push all of those buttons and achieve that reset that I just sat down and talked to you about, or the thing that we talked about when we first sat down. So those buttons, they are, some of those things are being deferred. It's not easy to defer some of these things. Some of them have timestamps to them, right? Or it could be considered time sensitive. But I am taking PSA the rest of the year and all of next year. We talking real? And all of next year, I'm taking 60% of my capacity, sir, off the table. Hard call. But I'm so serious about this. 60% of my capacity I'm taking off the table. I'm still available for bookings. I'm still available for speak. I'm still doing the things that I'm doing, but at a 40% capacity, because that 60%, right? I'm only sharing this because people's going to say, well, who can take 100% time off, right? As a doctor, or as an engineer, right? But what piece can you? And it might not be 60, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 5. But I'm just giving you tangibles, realistic things like, how do you get from here to here? How do you really reset? How do you do that in a real way that doesn't sound fancy when you're talking to the mic?
Yeah, I think some of it, you got to live it, right? From a guy who was doing 160%.
Sure.
And then seeing it with others to say, okay, the proverbial, if you don't put got to put your oxygen mask on first. And I'm like, no, I'll put everyone's on and then mine. Don't worry about me. I got this. Until it hits you. And then you realized, okay, if I can't even do 60%, suppose I get to a point where I can't even do 10%. Not because I want to, I actually can't, right? Burnout.
That part.
Burnout, or mental health, which is part of burnout, or
right.
health,
That's
physical ailment because your body tells you to stop. So you just thought, oh, at that point, I'd take 60% all day long. I would smile at 60%.
That's right.
And look, it's society. Society tells you if you're doing 60%, you're 40% lazy. I mean, right? A little bit, or at least 30 or 20%.
They would.
And so and I think that's a problem we have in our society, is it's telling you go, 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 and produce. And it depends what city you're in and what environment and, geography, because if it's skyscrapers and fast moving cities, it's even more in your face. If you're lucky enough to have mountains and beaches and other places, it might be a slow down effect. But yeah, it's what we're talking about. It's called wellness, right? It's called taking care of your body and your mind and prioritizing that. And you're smiling, so I love it. I must be hitting something, but it's recognizing your family and your friends and all that stuff. And I didn't put I just thought that was a given. There's a value system which is to each our own, but it's pretty damn important. And you're sitting here talking about it.
Yeah, man. I am smiling. Sir Alex Perry on fire. And I'm not being funny. I am being funny, but that's good. That's a year ago. The primary driving force was criminal justice. I gave a large portion of my capacity to the criminal justice space. The boards that I sat on, testifying before, all the partnerships that I had, I've pivoted. It's mental wellness. It's mental health and wellness, right? That's the space. That's where I'm at. I was always primed and positioned to be in that space. My wife and I both have had some training. And we use mental wellness is the terminology we use, because I don't have degrees and backgrounds, and then we try to partner with people who have those type of things when we're talking directly about mental health. But the mental wellness piece, to me, I feel more qualified speaking from the live experience, right? And we all can offer that up, right? You offer that up to your audience. That feels like that's the bedrock of the Alex Perry on Fire. If people really go back and look at the episodes, that mental wellness piece, right? Because I have all these things, right? For whoever's listening and for whatever you have, right? Whatever those things are. But what about that piece? What about that wellness piece? So that is what we're doing. That's what we're doing with resilience mode. That is one of the buttons that has been pushed. Very excited about what is in the future with resilience mode, how we have pivoted, and how I hope to be a leading voice in this space of mental wellness, in a real way, in a real way, in a lived experience way, and in a way where people feel like that's something tangible I could walk away with.
I think the follow-up to it is this, and I don't know if it requires, being in prison for 23 years. It's just a fight and a fight and a fight. You fought 23 years and you fought another 5 years. Now you're in the car again. What's the next? Did you have a thought of, now, okay, I'm free, but is there anything to go fight for right now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Not just for me, but for all of us. I've always said that I wanted to use my life to make a difference in others. So part of my personal fight was to regain my deserved freedom. A part of my personal fight was to hold those that was responsible for my wrongful conviction accountable. Check mark, check mark. But intertwined through all of that, by demonstration, even while I was still on the inside, I always was moved by using my life to make a difference in others. I think the airspace and the tarmac is clear for takeoff to where the next frontier, the next fight for decades to come, is to position myself in the best way possible to use my life and my life experience to positively impact others around me in various ways, whether that's in a tip, a verbal tip, whether that's in a financial tip, whether that it's in all different type of ways, but there's always alignment to where I am finding a way every day to use my life to make a difference in others. That's not a cakewalk within itself. It is a fight of sort, but that's the next frontier. When I'm done, and I may have mentioned this the first time, on my tombstone, it will say, I came, I lived, I mattered. That's the line for me.
Of that. And I think, the universe sometimes has you struggle again to put you in a place to keep helping so that you can see it in a different way and be there for other people in different ways.
Yeah, we absolutely, sir. Resilience mode is my wife and I company. It started out kind of moms and pop. It was a platform that I was able to use to run everything, all the work that I was doing. It was a payment portal, for my bookings and my speaking and my appearances. We always knew that it had its purpose in the question that you just asked me. Just didn't have the capacity to get to it. I was really overwhelmed with the criminal justice. This is what you should be doing, Ricky, type of thing, right? That influence somebody's hand was definitely on my steering wheel. But moving forward, we're gonna run all of that through resilience mode. Resilience mode. It's the best springboard. It's the best tool in our toolbox where we can have a massive impact. That's what we want. My wife and I want to have, we've been saying it, global impact. Like, how do we take what we do and create global impact? And so that's what we'll be doing.
And that might be what you needed to feel into, the space you needed to feel into. It wasn't, going, Project Innocence and all this other
Right.
stuff,
Mm-hmm.
even though it had been a part of your life.
Mhm.
That wasn't your calling. It wasn't
Right.
speaking to you. There's
Yep.
other things that you're learning that speak to you more, that connect you, that make
Yep.
you want to press that button.
Yep.
It's no different than this podcast for me, right? I have X amount of production in the day or time.
Yep.
This is one of those things that I want to put time to.
Yeah.
That fills me up, that gives me purpose. Will it forever? I don't know, right? But yeah, and I think also on I think in finalizing the mental health side of it is there are a lot of people who think this won't happen to me.
That's
Can't
right.
happen to me.
That's right.
I'm too strong. I've never had it in my life. Go, 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 go. Just not a part of me. Well, it doesn't come with flying colors, right? It doesn't all of a sudden say, I'm coming. And it's also not the end of the world. Some people get in the littlest pieces. It's more of the idea that, if you're listening, to say, just protect it. There are a lot of people who've come on the show, a lot of guests who I go on vacation with my family for 2 months. And if you can afford that, great. Or I take time out of my busy days. Great. You're practicing it. Keep practicing it. Right.
Right.
You may be doing it consciously, subconsciously. Incredible.
Right.
What we're here to say, or what I'm saying and what you're saying, is sometimes people will ask you to do and do and do and do. And if you don't say no, you might suffer some consequences from that.
Right.
And so just be mindful of that. I want to kind of pivot a little bit,
Sure.
because I know you wanted to mention someone who was, you said, the screw in the chair, meaning not necessarily something you see.
That's right.
But someone, and I think this happens in all facets of life, people who don't necessarily want the attention, but they're there. This book, Unraveling the Wrongful Conviction, A Guide for Analyzing Innocence Claims, by Daniel Grothaus.
Growthhouse. Mhm.
Yep. Just a little bit about what that means to you and me just saying this.
Yeah. That book is it's the recipe to why I'm sitting here with you right now. Right. You could see me, you could say, oh, that's great. He got out. That's the guy that's got out and did this with his life. But what are we just talking about? What does that look like? What is the recipe? How do I get there? It's never really shared. It's just the end part. It's often shared. It's the end part is often covered. But Dan Grothaus was my investigator. I reached out to him when I was still on the inside. Even he himself at the time was saying, this is how I work. I work with lawyers and they have to tell me this first. And he had a method with the method he was using there. He has a background of journalism. He was from Houston, Texas. So he was already an investigative journalist. And then that inquisitiveness and inquiry into things kind of took him in that space. And as he got turned on to a case or two, it took him further down that pathway. And then he's just doing the right thing in those initial years, right? He's doing the right thing, right? The moral right thing to do. But was it the right path? Was it the right recipe? It takes years to develop that. And so my case was one of the cases that Dan Grothaus was able to use to discover a more certain pathway, a more certain method to unraveling the wrongful conviction. Dan did that in my case. It took us many, many years to do it. He was the one who said, I'm going to do a summary report so you and I can share with lawyers, because they don't want to take the case. Like, you're just saying you're innocent at this point. But is there a framework to suggest that that is true? Dan was able to develop that framework. And then, of course, he remained on the team throughout the entire course of the investigation. And 35 years later, over 100 homicide cases he has been involved in, 15 exonerations, 9 acquittals. He's come out with Unraveling the Wrongful Conviction. And I'm excited because people always ask me, like, what is that aspect of your case? How did they actually unravel your case? And so his book shares that, and how to unravel other wrongful convictions. It's for everybody. It's most certainly for professors, for law students. It's for lawyers. It's for law enforcement. If they really want to understand from the beginning, it's not just how to. The book title is called How to Unravel the Wrongful Conviction. But the ideal is, if you use some of these tried and proven methods at the beginning, you can also prevent the wrongful conviction from happening in the first place. This is one of the things where I give a little attention to, right? I'm going to do a couple projects, a couple appearances with him. This is just a smaller piece of the pathway that got me here. And it's not all consuming. So I feel very comfortable that the book speaks for itself. I'll do a couple appearances with us and we'll see.
I love it. And I love how you said the recipe, because we can take that to us individually, right? Like, where we're at in our lives, there's a recipe to get there.
That's right.
I think of just different people, whether it be a yoga instructor, marketing, real estate, guest speaker, lawyer, doctor, doesn't matter, construction, a tradesman. You learned the recipe.
That's
you
right.
learned it. And I think if you're struggling, it's where my head goes at now. It's like, maybe you're struggling, but you learned a recipe to get where you're at. And that took time. So that's another starting step to building, building on whatever it is you're building on.
So as the reason why I believe I have been afforded great credibility and assurance when people hire me, corporations, organizations, universities. I'm all over the country. I'm not just doing that criminal justice baseline audience as I was my first year. It's because of what you just said. It's 23 years of experience. He has a real recipe. I'm not saying that others are not qualified out here who really understands the topic of resilience. There are great people out here, but you develop that recipe and you understand what it really takes to overcome or to spring back from a difficulty or challenge of all sorts. And you really understand in a deep and intimate way these various aspects of mental wellness. It requires mental wellness, sir, to get through it. You don't just go get an investigator and a lawyer and then get through it. And it doesn't, there is components of mental wellness that is required. Other than that, you won't make it. And if you do, you won't make it as a whole or in a holistic way, to where you're so beat up. When you do get out here, you can end up what I call crashing out, and you'll have zero chance of any real form of success.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
No, for sure. 2 final questions.
Okay.
One, did you settle, last time you were talking about a settlement with the state of Missouri? Has that taken place, and are you allowed to say what took place?
To some extent, yes. Yes, to some extent. Um, as far as the details and elaborations, but yes, it is. Um, it's okay to mention or announce. It is public knowledge that I was suing the Kansas City Police Department for their actions that led towards my wrongful conviction. It was a 5-year battle. So I battled 23 years. Then I battled 5 more years. So a total of 28 years that I've been in battle in these court systems fighting for some type of truth. And then April of this year, we was able to come to a settlement agreement, record breaking for the for the city of Kansas City, and the Kansas City Police Department. A lot of people would say they came up short. But that's the hill that I was climbing. It was, that's the hill. If you're in the East Coast or the West Coast, California or New York, different story. They tend to do a little more pretty hefty settlements. They understand it a little bit better there. The Midwest region does not yet. And so that's why it was reported out as record breaking or whatever, what number 14 million. But yeah, we was able to come to an arrangement. Not so much of the money. I don't feel nothing. I don't feel nothing. With all that money, I don't feel nothing different. I don't feel reconciled. The ending of the fight is what I feel. The ending of the fight, I used to have nightmares, terrible nightmares, 2, 3, 4 times a week, terrible nightmares. No more nightmares. No, not a dream. Because the ideal is that you're out, Ricky, but you're still in it. Mentally, you're still in it, right? You're still in it in a way. And but it's over. It's over. The wrongful conviction that happened in May of 1996. It is now 2025. And it's over. All aspects of it. It's over. And so that's the piece because people like to ask that question. That's the piece that gives me peace. That's the piece that gives me resolve. Now the idea that I can, I'm in a better financial situation to take care of my family and be with my family. Maybe take those, maybe not 2 months, but 2 weeks, 3 weeks trips. And not come back and then feel it. That part does feel good, but the reconciliation part of it comes from it being over.
I'm smiling because I'm hoping I kind of know the answer, which is we'll see. But you told me when you got let out of prison on the 12th appeal, and I said, what does it feel like? And you said, every day it's driving down the highway, convertible, wind, music, everything. Then fast forward 5 years later, and you get paid for the injustice. What does that feel like?
Brother, brothers, sisters, those watching. The final days before I received the news, I was still in prison, and I would play this song over and over and over. Molly Music. He has a song called Ready, Aim, Fire. I was in the gym. I had my headphones on. I'm blasting that song. When they call me to go to the caseworker's office to receive the news that I'm going home. I left prison, and all these things happened that we talked about. 5 years later, after being released, the settlement is finalized. One of the first things that I did, which speaks to how it left me feeling, is I got in the car and I played Molly music. Ready, aim, fire. You can't stop me now. It's whoever is listening, not promoting Molly, don't know him or whatnot, but I think it would give justice to the question that you're asking and the feeling that I am feeling right now. Ready, aim, fire. I'm on an airplane. It's just, that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like, when I put a period behind who Ricky Kidd is, because that's still in process, I'm going to be in the best position to execute whatever that master plan is. That's what I feel like. There is no handcuffs or shackles on me. I feel like when I first came home, that they took the handcuffs off. And I feel like after the settlement, that the shackles on my feet came off. So, yeah, I feel good. Ready, aim, fire.
Love that. Yeah, you deserve that.
Yeah.
And we still give to a charity a choice, even though you're a second-time guest.
Yeah.
What charity would you like to give it?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I am on the board of an organization called Investigation Advocacy Services. That lawyer, Professor Sean O'Brien, who took my case along with Dan Growthhouse 30 years ago, is now running his own clinic. Amazing team over there. They're continuing to unravel themselves, wrongful convictions. But we have an educational component there where we are educating society at the same time. So I'm excited to be on that board as an example of what the outcome looks like, and as an instrument when it comes to making certain decisions, right? If we're talking about freeing people like me, maybe you should have people like me sitting at the board or sitting at the table. And again, it only takes a certain capacity of my time and not that bigger piece. So it would be Investigation Advocacy Services, and I appreciate that a lot.
You sent me a picture in text of you next to Morgan Freeman, which seems a little fitting.
Yeah.
Given Shawshank.
Yeah.
What'd that mean to you, and what does it mean?
Oh man. Everything. To be able to sit down with Morgan Freeman. Many people watch Shawshank Redemption, and the essence of that movie was the guy Andy, who was believed to be wrongfully convicted, and it's a classic. It's a classic. We all love Morgan and the work that he's done, all the films that he's done. But Morgan and I had a mutual friend that brought us into each other's company. And it was an enjoyable company. We spent hours with Morgan throughout the evening. He's very down to earth. We laughed. We chatted about a host of different things. And he asked me, what was it like? She's a jokester. He said, what was it like coming out of prison, and did you know where you was going? And he said, because when I came out of prison, I had no clue. And it was a joke. It was set the joke up as his character read in the movie. But it speaks to how fitting it was. Here it is. Not only do I get to meet Morgan Freeman, who played in this iconic film, Shawshank Redemption, but he actually had the opportunity to meet a person who's truly been wrongfully convicted and exonerated. So it was mutual. in that aspect, and special. It was very special.
It's been a pleasure. You're going to come on again. And I think what's exciting is both of us will see where we are on this roller coaster.
Yeah.
And one foot in front of another. And you and I, we talk offline. This isn't just to the audience, this isn't just a meet talk. We met each other for the first time, the last one, but we check in each other.
Yes.
And when I'm feeling good, I send him a song that reminds me of him, and he checks up on me. And that's just another level of connecting. It's you said it prior. It's like, who's your tribe? Who are the people you care about?
Yeah.
You don't have to talk to them all the time, but it's just, I think sometimes you get a thought and you, instead of thinking, I'm not going to reach out, it's like, just maybe they need to hear this song.
That's right.
Maybe they need to hear from me. Maybe they, it's just a constant reminder. And so today, the pleasure of joining us in the podcast is just so well received. So thank you.
I appreciate it. The collaboration is what I see it. Love the work that you've been doing, that you all have been doing over here, Alex. It feels like alignment. It's easy to come here and sit with you. In fact, it doesn't feel, it is total alignment in what we're doing, how we're messaging, how we're using our lives to make a difference in others, that uplift, right? That people can benefit from no matter who you are and where you are. So it feels good to have another opportunity to be able to sit with the great Alex Perry on fire and hopefully fire up other people to be on fire as well. Thank you, brother, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Alex Perry on Fire. It means so much to me and the wonderful team that makes this all possible. I'm now passing the flame to you. Please follow, like, and subscribe so you can always stay up to date. Thanks again, and stay fired up.